He's the man to do the damage. Oh! As he looks for another headshot!
There were rumors about who was going to get the major, right? And so people know this is how it works, right? If you're a tournament organizer, there you are, you're running your tournaments, you've got an admin team, and you've got, people that do all of that. When the majors come up, Valve invite you to pitch. And remember, I've been involved in these pitches. So, back in the E-League days. So, what people do is they put together a deck, a presentation, usual stuff, and they say, if we get the opportunity to do the major, this is where we're going to do it, and this is why it's going to be cool, and this is da-da-da. So, when Valve give you the call, and they invite you to come and pitch, everybody goes all at once, and generally it's like a sort of really big kept industry secret about who's pitching, who's going in for it, who's going to win, like everyone's, because, for whatever people say, like, if you're pitching for a major, the people will be doing it because they think they can sort of make it work for them in a business sense. Traditionally, it used to be if you got a major, you lost money, but only in the theoretical sense of if you isolate the event, because you could also sort of make it up down the line if it's a really good event and gets you enough prestige, and then you can go out and get other sponsors and other people, and you can run their events. And It's a reputation builder. A good major will really put you up there, like think about MLG. Everybody longs for another, well, we all longed for an MLG major. Again, Columbus is one of the best. It was a great one. Not just the iconic moments, the production, everything about it. And so for ages, people have been saying, Blast to a major, Blast to a major, Blast to a major, Blast to a major. Well, listen, Valve should give Blast a major. Blast haven't been pitching. That's the facts. And then they did an interview a few months ago where they were going, Blast is always interested in running a major. Pitch for one then, you cunts. Stop fucking bullshitting people, But then I knew as soon as I saw that interview, I was like, they've pitched this time, right? And so, lo and behold, here came the report. And it's on Jackson. That's Jaxon. And it's by Christian Slot, who's a journalist I know. And so I believe this report to be true. And so apparently, the people that have won the latest round of pitches to host the majors next year, remember, we got Rio coming up in November. We surely do. They're saying are going to be Perfect World and Blast. Well, where to begin? Let's start with Blast. And, I'll read the report a little bit down here. There it is. In a recent interview, Blast Managing Director Charlotte Kenny hinted at the possibility of the company hosting a major, saying Blast is always interested in hosting a major. Just to verify what I'm saying earlier. For me, I think Blast are right now the best production team in CSGO. I don't think that's like a big secret or a hot take or an insightful opinion even. It's just a reality I think we can all recognize, right? The show looks good. The overlay looks good. They get it done on time. The audio mix is right, even when they're in a stadium. They put ESL to shame. And I put this line in a recent article where I was talking about, I think it was called Human Rights Are a Blast. Human Rights Violations Are a Blast, sorry. It was where I was talking about Blast are basically doing an event with the United Arab Emirates. And the latest in a long line of people in esports to basically side with people that would happily kill large portions of esports fans simply for who they are, because those are the sign of the times. And if you ever wonder why I'm jaded, just process what I've just said. So they put ESL to shame. ESL have a war chest like no one else. They've got so much money, so much expertise. They've even poached expertise from rival companies like they did with PGL. The reason the PGL production suddenly took a hit is because there's guys that were known in the business as the two Vlads, and they used to handle the production, and ESL poached them, and they went to ESL. Another reason why PGL and ESL will never play nice in the sandpit. But you can't replace, if someone's super talented and super good, you can't replace them. But let's also be real, ESL cut corners. An ESL esports broadcast doesn't look like you're looking at a $1 billion company broadcast. It doesn't look like you're looking at the esports leaders. If I was to show you a Blast Premier produced show and an ESL produced show, and I was to say which one of these is the $1 billion company, you would look at Blast and go, you can see the money right there on the screen. So, you know, Blast are incredible at what they do. They've also done something that Face It before them did. They took two casters that were on the come up, they gave them the opportunities and turned them into now premier voices that can carry a broadcast, work in stadiums, you know, talking about Scrawny and Launders, obviously. And so they've done everything right. They've got their own unique sound, their own unique style, their own unique look. And when they've done events in stadiums, no tech problems, hardly any tech issues at all. Far cry from their first ever event, which was an unmitigated disaster, and they essentially had to cancel the entirety of the first day. But Blast, for me, just on that, they definitely deserve a major if they're pitching for it and they can afford to do it and they think they can make it work. Now let's get to the downside. Unfortunately, it will be in Copenhagen because that's where all of Blast's infrastructure are. There's no way, well, okay, there's one way it's not in Copenhagen. We'll come to that. But it will have to be in Copenhagen. And I just cannot support that. I cannot support that. I know it sounds petty and pathetic, and I love Denmark as a country, and I love Copenhagen as a city, and I've been going there for years. So many Danish friends, always been made welcome. But that crowd cannot behave where Astralis are concerned. And if Astralis qualify, which, you know, who knows, it's not even a given that they would, I can't. I've seen it in Odense. I've seen it in Copenhagen. It is not a one-off thing. You know, people used to accuse the North American fans of cheating, the Brazilian fans of cheating, you know, and there was hecklers, and there was call-outs, and there was people holding up signs. I've never seen anything like what I've seen Astralis fans do consistently at multiple events, and it's a disgrace. And people, and unfortunately, tournament organisers will not police this. They will not throw people out. We've seen it time and time again be allowed, and you're going to have to. You've got to eject these people. If it was Wimbledon, you would eject them. It's not up for debate. And I guarantee if you do it to the first little group that cheat, everyone else will shut the fuck up real quick, because that's your weekend ticket gone. My worry is we get this incredible event with incredible production, an incredible admin team, incredible casters, all the best talent. You know, Shocks, you know, coming back, and Horston and Freya's there and all the people there, and it's marred by this disgusting, dirty mark we can't talk about, which is the crowd cheated. Astralis get to the finals, and we just all have to be quiet about it. And so, well, not Astralis cheated, but the Astralis fans cheated on behalf of Astralis. I worry about that. So that's point number one. Point number two, to reward Blast with a major after they've just announced their collaboration with the United Arab Emirates. You know, if it is true, it's like, listen, I know Valve can't ever speak out on these issues because they themselves are compromised to some degree with their unbelievable relationship with China, which, remember the headline, a perfect world. Yeah, let's get to that. But for me, we cannot. Rio was awarded to ESL before the buyout happened and before they announced it, and ESL deliberately did it because they knew there might be a little bit of squeamishness. I've talked to people behind the scenes. They rushed through all of their major deals and all of their major projects, including that GG for all, before the fucking Saudi deal went through because they knew what a shit show it was going to be. It's just bad for our industry. It's just bad for our industry to reward entities that will do work with the worst people. I know I'm never going to win this battle. It's part of the reason why I don't want to work in this business anymore. You know, it's lost. It's over. But I just hope Valve will be like, listen, we're a little bit squeamish about this. But here's point three. Point three is, what if we get a major and it's a blast major and we have it in Abu Dhabi? You know, that would make 2023 the year of the human rights abusers. And you're going to say, well, how could that possibly happen, Richard? Well, let me tell you. Remember, Blast don't have a lot of money. That's why they've not pitched before, and doing a major is expensive. And maybe Copenhagen isn't considered a particularly desirable city, despite all of its rich history within esports. Now, Denmark has always punched above its weight, despite having a population of like 6.5 million or whatever it is. The reality is, they could have pitched like, Valve, we can do it in Abu Dhabi. And do you know why? Because Abu Dhabi would pay for it. That's the reason people are doing these events out in the Emiratis, you know, in Qatar, in Saudi, in Riyadh. You know, the reason that people want to do these events is the governments there will underwrite it. They will underwrite it because you are bringing a product that the populace there highly desires, highly wants. It's engaging with the young people, and of course, it's absolutely not haram. It's not a problem for a clerical government to endorse. It's technologically advanced. It's cutting edge. It's everything they want to be. And so they will pay for you to do your events there. You will not have to worry about anything. You just have to turn up and run the event. And that's what sports washing's largely about anyway. People go, oh, running Formula One doesn't make people forget about human rights violations. No, it doesn't. Spoiler, 80% of people, I pulled that number out my arse, I'm aware, but 8 out of 10 people, I would say, don't care about human rights violations whatsoever. Doesn't affect me. I'm all right. But here's what it does do for the other two, the people that are aware of the existence of human rights violations and other issues. Seeing Saudi Arabia being ubiquitous everywhere and everyone taking Saudi money in golf, in football, in Formula One, now in esports, and now in everything else, in tennis, and people just go, well, you can't win, can you? If I say no to the money, someone else will have it. It creates that doubt. It creates that permission to essentially endorse something you know is unethical. That's why they do it. They know you will take the money, and once you do, you can't talk about it. It is bought complicity, and that's why I won't take that money. But most will, apparently. And so anyway, there's a real risk that we have imagine having a major out there. They're already doing it in Rainbow Six. They already tried, and it's coming. They've just had that Dota tournament out there, right? It's coming. It's coming. They've got big esports events in Riyadh, big esports events in Qatar, literally using slave labor to build stadiums. Big events in Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates. It's already happening. You already got esports teams and an esports project, a vector of government that funnels money into esports projects out there. That's why certain teams, have their headquarters out there. I'm too scared to say the name on Twitch. So anyway, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth because on the surface of it, it would be absolutely fine. What I'm trying to say is I want Valve to consider who's getting it on this basis, but it's a pipe dream because look at this. Perfect world of the other candidates. And you know what that means? That means a major. Sorry. Right. I was trying to do something clever and I was going to go, it means a minor in China. But of course, it's a major. But it actually would look like a minor, probably. Rhymes. I love them. Me and Boomich are doing an album together. But yeah, it's a major in China and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I know for years China's been a developing scene. It's also match-fixing heaven. You can't trust any of the results. You can't trust anything that goes on over there. Lest we forget human rights violations from the government. A government clampdown, by the way, on kids being able to play the games in the first place. They're gonna, then they're stifling their own esports development. They think so little of it that they don't want kids to engage in it. Like the teenagers, if you're 16 or younger, you get your 3-hour designated game time a weekend. They've changed the way they do media. It wasn't that long ago they were banning effeminate men from hosting TV shows on the grounds that it would corrupt the youth. Fucking hell. I hope Maniac doesn't go to this fucking major in China, like. He'd be fucking banged up abroad. It's ridiculous. And then you think about, like, for a serious moment, because I'm trying to make light of it, for a serious moment, are we just all right now? Are we just forgetting about what happened to all the Uyghur Muslims in China? Literally being put in forced labour camps called re-education camps, right? Literally being made to pick cotton in the sun for no money so they can have cotton go to these big companies that make clothing lines, and women being forced into sterilization and then handed over to businessmen as if they were trinkets and toys. Are we just gonna fucking let it slide? Are we just gonna forget about it and keep doing business with China? And the answer, of course, is a resounding yes. How can you have a the biggest events in esports are meant to be celebrations of everything that's good about esports. Everybody is welcome. Everybody can go. How can a Muslim in good conscience go to a Chinese event, knowing their brothers and sisters are being done like that? Obviously, they're spiritual brothers and sisters. Although, Uyghurs, obviously, it's not just they're not just Muslims. It's not just religion. Uyghurs are a specific ethnicity. Think, like the way Kurds have been historically eradicated in certain countries. I can't. Gay couples can't go to... You can't really do it in China. They got strange attitudes towards race, which we know about. We have to pretend they don't, How many black people are going to be airbrushed out of Disney posters before someone says something, somebody important at least? Guess that's fine as well. I just want us to set the fucking table for what our values are in this business, and then stick to those values and say, these are values, these are principles, they cannot be bought, but they can, like. And so it makes me unbelievably sad if this is true. Just to also tell you from a production side, if you've ever wondered why PGL, despite serving up substandard events, are preferential to Valve, if you wonder why they got to do a TI that looked like a fucking tier 2 tournament and nobody said anything, and they did obviously the two majors, one of which was bad, the other of which was passable. Right? If you wonder why PGL have they've got this working relationship with Perfect World and all the ties to China and all of that, and Valve obviously have. Perfect World is the distributor of their games over there, and tournaments are played on Perfect World servers. So it's like, no one's going to rock the boat there, and it's like, I know for a fact that major would be a disaster. If it happens, and we do have a major in China, it is going to be a disaster. It is going to be poor production. It's going to be language issues. Remember, I've got him on that board. He keeps putting me off. I am going to do that podcast with Too Good, and we'll talk about that, Dota Shanghai major. But if you're not a Dota fan and you never saw that event, you've got no idea of what a perfect world event can degenerate into. It is one of the worst run, biggest events of all time in our space. And the way that, all the problems the talent who were there had, it weren't just Too Good. Too Good just ended up being a standard bearer for all of the problems because he got shit canned. But they are not going to respect if you want to color outside the lines. They're not going to respect if you say something that's a little bit near the knuckle or edgy. You could get arrested. It is not a good call. I sincerely hope it doesn't happen. It would be a substandard event to begin with. I don't even know what would happen when the Chinese team gets knocked out. Are Chinese fans really going to come and fill a stadium in China to watch CSGO? And then what? It'll have to be Mandarin casting to the stadium. So this report made me unfathomably sad, because it's like, the Blast event at least will look good, but we'll either have a terrible crowd in Copenhagen that are cheating for Astralis, or it's in Abu Dhabi, and then, just good luck going there. And then obviously having a major in China now, of all times, just ridiculous. So please, I don't want this to be true, but I strongly suspect that it is.